Your heart rate spikes, your breathing turns shallow. The competing pressures of a career, a family, and your own moral compass pile up until your brain simply stops processing data. You have reached a state of total decision paralysis. This is the exact psychological collapse experienced by a warrior named Arjuna 3 millennia ago on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna was paralyzed by his dharma. Dharma is a Sanskrit term describing an individual's inherent duty and the righteous path that keeps the world running as it should. As a warrior, his role was to fight to restore order, but the opposing army was filled with his own relatives and teachers. The ensuing dialogue between Arjuna and his guide, Krishna, provides a targeted psychological intervention. In his commentary, Gita Arthasangraha, the 10th century philosopher Abhinavagupta describes these teachings as a method for recognizing divine consciousness to cure the universal human experience of anxiety. Krishna's solution to Arjuna's paralysis is to shift his entire focus to the physical execution of his task, while training his mind to ignore the eventual outcome of the war. This is karma yoga, the yoga of action. It is defined by Shloka 2.47, which establishes that a person has the right to work but no entitlement to the results. Karma yoga is the practice of performing one's prescribed duties with equanimity, offering the fruits of that work to a higher power. To see this in a high-stakes environment, imagine a surgeon in the middle of a delicate procedure. If that doctor fixates on whether the patient survives the night, the resulting stress can make their hand shake. The obsession with the outcome physically degrades the quality of the action. Modern history shows the results of this outcome-independent service. Mother Teresa spent decades treating the destitute in Calcutta, focused entirely on the act of care, regardless of the systemic scale of poverty around her. High levels of effectiveness are reached only when the ego's fear of failure is removed from the workflow. This is nishkama karma, or motiveless action, where the work itself becomes the goal. Detached action requires the support of jnana yoga, the path of wisdom. This is the intellectual practice of viveka, which is the power of discrimination used to distinguish the eternal soul, or Atman, from the temporary roles and failures of the physical body. Supporting the intellect is bhakti yoga, or the path of devotion. This is the emotional mechanism of surrendering one's ego to a higher purpose, ensuring that actions are driven by a connection to the collective rather than selfish ambition. This synthesis is known as integral yoga. Without wisdom, action is blind. Without devotion, wisdom leads to pride and aloofness. Practicing only one path often results in spiritual distortion, such as the fanaticism that arises when devotion is not balanced by the intellect. Only a mind stabilized by these three forces, action, wisdom, and devotion, possesses the structural integrity to witness the true scale of the universe without fracturing. Arjuna eventually asks to move beyond theory and see the ultimate, unfiltered reality of the universe for himself. Krishna grants him divine sight to witness the Vishwarupa, a cosmic manifestation where every birth and death in history happens simultaneously within a single entity. It is a vision of blinding, infinite light. Within this form, Krishna declares, "I am time, the destroyer of worlds." This revelation collapses Arjuna's linear understanding of cause and effect by showing that the warriors he hesitates to kill have already been claimed by the cosmic timeline. This ancient description of world-destroying power resonated during the dawn of the nuclear age. J. Robert Oppenheimer famously quoted this verse when witnessing the first atomic explosion, recognizing a force that transcended his own era. Accepting our role as nimitta matra, a Sanskrit term meaning an instrument of a larger order, removes the weight of the personal ego. We are liberated from the need to control the uncontrollable. Arjuna eventually returns to his senses. He picks up his bow, acting not out of emotional despair, but from a position of absolute mental stillness. Researchers have begun testing this philosophy's efficacy in modern high-stress environments. During the COVID-19 pandemic, studies on healthcare workers used the Gita's 4 Ds, detachment, duty, doership, and dhyana, or meditation, to successfully mitigate moral and psychological distress by decoupling their self-worth from the volatile metrics of the crisis. This perspective also informs the linked leadership model. In this framework, success is found in the integrity of the process and the pursuit of a higher purpose, allowing leaders to focus entirely on the quality of their decisions rather than the uncertainty of the market. These teachings do not offer a way to avoid the difficulties or the tragedies inherent in human life. Relinquishing the outcome ensures that while your worldly battles will continue, you possess the internal architecture to face them with clarity.